Nice and early start, nice and cold start, one of the coldest days of the year. It's about 6 a.m. Got a 2-hour drive ahead of me, and today the mission is to do a big backcountry ride and to test out the HERO7 Black. That's what you're watching me through right now. Hopefully it sounds good, hopefully it looks good. I've also got a different gimbal on today, the Feiyu Wearable Gimbal 2X, WG2X. The time has come to upgrade my equipment. I've been using the same thing forever, the HERO4 Black, with the Feiyu gimbal of early on, the WG, the original, and then it's been the Evo SS gimbal from there on out. I have 5 Evo SS gimbals right now that all make terrible gimbal noise. 2 of them are like not brand new, but brand new refurbished. I kind of cheaped out and got the refurbished ones, thinking that they wouldn't make terrible gimbal noise, but they make terrible gimbal noise. So I think the HERO4 Black is just not really made to work with the new gimbals anymore. I think the new gimbals are all balanced out for the newer cameras, which makes sense. And that's my theory as to why I'm getting such bad gimbal noise now on every gimbal that I use. Rant over for now. I'm pretty sure today's ride is going to be massive, so I will have plenty of opportunity to test out this GoPro and this gimbal setup and see if it actually works, and then watch this footage back and see if it's actually up to the task or if I'm just screwed. Turn the lights off in the shed.
Okay, turning off the lights.
Let's do a low light test here. Going from pitch black into more ambient light. And now we're gonna go into the garage with a little bit more bright light. This should be perfectly fine. Oh boy, we have arrived. It is 30 degrees. I'm here with Emil, and Aaron from MTBing Adventures is out there as well. He was just in my last ride video, our crazy adventure ride. And I think we're in for another crazy adventure ride today. Holy moly, it's friggin' freezing. So this place is called Henry Coe State Park, not to be confused with Henry Cole Redwood State Park or whatever. I've always been confused by that. And yeah, we got a big one. It's cold. I need to get ready. Let's do this. So what kind of bike you got here, Emil?
This is a Chromag.
Chromag Root Down. I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Nice. Then Aaron's on the old High Tower LT. Couple of them new scrapes from our last ride.
Yeah.
And I'm still demoing the Gorilla Gravity Smash. Good morning. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Chile. So Emil gave me the same BS line that I've got from almost every person that's ever guided me on a trail. I'm gonna be slow. You know, I'm gonna be the weak link. And then Aaron and I are back here huffing and puffing.
Oh, we're just getting started.
Got my hand up winter gloves on today. Trying to figure out the right height for the camera and the chest mount. We'll see how it goes. Greasy. Oh, fight it. Man, traction is surprisingly good. I feel like I need to push it a little more. Not on these leaves, but I'm doing really good with my braking, and something about this bike just feels planted. Woo. Cool. All right, let's tilt this thing down just a little more. And that's the end of it. Right when I tilt the camera. All right, hope that came out. Tick Magnet Emil leading the way. Man, my legs are already feeling it. Damn CrossFit. So one of the big things about the HERO7, hopefully, is that the image exposure can go in and out of light and dark and manage this much better. The HERO4 is always a bit laggy. Bright spots in a forest. This is a good test of that. Oh. This is my kind of wilderness. E-bikes are allowed out here, which is very surprising, but not so much because this is just a massive, massive place. Emil said he's been in the parking lot and where it's completely full. You just never see another person out here. Love it. Ice on top. I got the first crack. Woo, frosty. Of course, one of my biggest reservations about switching to the HERO7 or the 5 or the 6 is the audio. That's always kind of been the downfall. It's always kind of been the weak link. The microphone is covered in a film that makes it waterproof, but it just makes it a little bit worse. But GoPro thinks they've worked to fix that issue. I did a firmware update on this camera before I took it out, so we'll see. I'm guessing it's not gonna be that bad. I did some tests inside the house and they were pretty good, but out here is a little different story with the wind and such. Little frosty up there.
Yeah!
How was it last night?
Oh, it was really frosty.
Cool.
I was thinking Frosty the Snowman.
Just us two, or us three together. Have a good one. It's all about the backcountry, baby. Looking for more ice to smash. Whoa. Sound effect check. Oh, avoid the ruts. Nice job. Yeah. Knocked out.
I thought I had that corner.
Yeah. Man, how beautiful was that? If that didn't capture the way I saw it, I'm gonna be disappointed, because that was just so cool. Oh, finally found the limit of the traction. That took a lot. Oh, I'll need a new shirt. Scrape my arm on that tree. Yeah, this really does remind me of Cody Brennan, the Beast. Some of those sections. backcountry bliss. That was sweet.
That was really good.
What a day. I've been going back and forth on email with Emil, and I'd seen him out riding a couple times in Rockville, so we got to chatting, and he emailed me maybe 2 nights ago and said, hey man, do you want to hit up Co? Hell yeah, that's how it happens. Somebody comes up with a plan, and if the timing works, we do it. Slippy dippy. Woo! Oh, you had it. Dang. Way easier. It ain't 30 degrees no more, boys. Survived it. It is kind of chilly though. Dude, Emil, thank you so much. That deserves a high five. Aaron?
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, man.
A great ride.
We got-
Thank you so much for showing us this.
Somehow it wasn't 7 hours and I was riding with Aaron.
Yeah.
I gotta check my Strava first just in case it was 7 hours. It's hard to tell. The sun was not up yet and now it's way over there. 22 miles, almost 5 hours. I would not have guessed that. So it's later in the day now. I edited the video, I listened to it, I looked at it, and I'm pretty impressed. I think the HERO7 Black is pretty damn good. There's a few things that are weird about the video. I feel like it doesn't look like 30 frames per second whatsoever, which might be the gimbal's fault. I felt like the gimbal was like moving around. There's like a lot of micro shakes on the gimbal, which might be 100% why it looks like it's 24 frames per second, not 30. In my settings, I definitely have 30 frames per second. These are the GoPro settings I used. I'll leave them in the description as well. These aren't necessarily the best GoPro settings, they're just the ones that I used. I really like the way the color came out. I like the way the exposure was exposing between light and dark, and I really like the way the white balance was like snapping in perfectly all the time. That's a lot of the problems I have with the HERO4 Black. So the number one gripe, and the reason why I haven't really moved to these newer cameras yet, the HERO5, 6, and 7 all have crappier audio than the HERO4 Black. And you may know it or not, but my videos are heavily audio based. It's a lot of me talking. It's a lot of the trail. The audio component is so crucial to my videos, even though you might not even really realize that. It's huge. It's all me talking, basically. So here's what we've got. Here's what I set it up with, the HERO7, and you just listened to the entire video, and I felt like it sounded pretty serviceable. Maybe a B-, maybe a C+ compared to the HERO4. HERO4 is like an A+. Like, it just sounds great all the time. You only need one little wind muffler. But I got a wind muffler on the side, I got a wind muffler on the top. They encircle the microphones. And then using my settings where I set the audio to be raw audio high and I set the mics on stereo, it seemed to work. You could tell there was less fidelity, you could tell there was less going on, but you could hear some stuff in the background. I could hear people talking ahead and hear people talking behind. That's good. I'm not too upset with the audio quality. This ride today was 5 hours, and that's about all the footage I got because it was tons and tons of fire roads, tons and tons of big climbs. So I only started recording when we were on like primo single track, and I didn't even go through one battery on this entire ride, which is unheard of. Usually I'm swapping out batteries like crazy, so not a perfect test of a typical ride. I was turning off the gimbal, I was turning off the GoPro like at every chance, and rides like that allow you to do it when you know it's going to be go climb for half an hour and then boom, little 5-minute descent. So I was very, very happy with the battery life. I'm actually kind of blown away. Didn't have to reach into my battery bag once. So now let's move on to the WG2X WG2X. It's a mouthful. So today I rode in this position here. So I had the gimbal set up so the bottom of it is down here on my chest, like so, with no mount. I have the Stuntman chest mount, so this little 1/4 screw goes directly into it, so it was pretty flush against my chest. This thing sticks out pretty far, a lot further than I'm used to. So I've just accidentally tapped this side button, the power button, which makes the gimbal lock on mode, like, I don't know if it's called follow mode or whatever, but see how it's locked on? It's just pointed off in this direction. #1 pet peeve of this gimbal is how easy it is to hit this button and just ruin your footage so quickly. There's also buttons on the bottom, which I just hit one and it just flipped over. Let's see if that, or did it flip over because of that? I don't know. There's too many buttons that are too easy. So there's a button here that's way too easy to press. There's buttons here that are way too easy to press. So everything is a minefield with this camera. Buttons aside, you can very easily twist this thing around and put it into place. Just like the original Feiyu wearable gimbal, while you're riding, you have pretty good, incredible control of tilting the camera up and down however you want it. It does make a hell of a noise on the camera. You can definitely tell something like pops when you're recording and you're doing this, but being able to manipulate the camera on the fly like that is very, very nice. The price of this thing is pretty bargain basement. It's $169 compared to something like the Karma Grip, which is $300 plus $100 to get the Karma Grip cable. And so for a budget-friendly option, this thing is pretty decent. But I can't help but think that the gimbal was the reason why I had all the shaking and the micro bumps. Nothing that really ruined the footage. I still think the footage looked really good, but something's not quite right. So I think the preferred method of mounting is like, oh geez, did I hit the button again? Is like this, where I can't hold this thing without hitting buttons. Where kind of this thing is on top, and you can move the camera into any position. The camera doesn't matter. You can flip it in, flip it out. But I don't like this. I don't like this view, because whenever you get into something steep, you come over the top, and then you've got this thing in your view. If you're getting steepage, you're getting seepage. But there might be something to that this is a more stable position for the gimbal, that it can absorb better hits. Or it just can't really take the micro bumps that it used to be able to take, and it's not that great. One of the cool, weird side features that who knows if I would use it or not is the time-lapse. You can set the gimbal to do a time-lapse, and then you set a time-lapse on your video or stills, and this thing will like rotate around or like do weird motion stuff. So you can kind of set it and forget it, and it'll do some pretty cool time-lapse. That's something that's pretty awesome, but something that I might never use. But some people might like it. This thing has like full 360 rotation. So back in the day when you used to mess up your gimbal by looping it around a bunch of times and it would pull out a wire, that's pretty much gone now, if I can move this thing around without touching the buttons. So no worries about that. This is splash proof, I think. It's not waterproof. I think the WG2, the non-X version, is actually waterproof. So here's the problem with the waterproofing. You can't switch batteries out of this thing. So usually gimbal batteries are awesome. They'll go for 2.5 hours, but there's plenty of times where I've used the entire 2.5 hours and I need to swap out batteries. You can't swap batteries in this, but you can set up some crazy cable from your backpack into this and charge the gimbal base while you're riding, or maybe you've run out of batteries and you just juice it up in your bag for a little while. It's a possibility. This does not charge the camera. The camera still runs independently in this gimbal. That's kind of the cool thing too. See how it was kind of stuck on that other side? You can very almost forcefully manipulate any angle you want, and it will hold there, which is very cool. And then it'll kind of follow and try to keep that original angle that you just set, kind of, sorta. And you go back, and then you're going back on the trail. So I like that. There's a lot to like about this thing. I'm just still very skeptical. So one of the cool little features about this gimbal is this balancing thing. You unscrew this, and you can move like the gimbal arm assembly back and forth and balance it depending on how heavy your camera is. So that's like almost the perfect balancing point. Go too far this way, it doesn't balance. So you kind of find that perfect balancing point, so then your gimbal should kind of sort of be okay. Now, maybe this was the reason for my micro bumps in my footage. Maybe it's not actually perfectly balanced. Maybe when I had the gimbal set up today, it was all jacked up, or you know, it was 1 millimeter off too far, and then that's what caused all that extra bumpage. But maybe right now, if I screw it up perfectly, this is perfectly balanced and there will be no micro bumps. So I dislike all the guessing, but I like that they have this, because you can put in the HERO5 session if you have one of those. And I guess the HERO4 would work in this too. I'll have to maybe try it, but I always get wary because these cages are never big enough. So the HERO4 is kind of always half-assed in there, about to fall out. So after one ride, I feel like the HERO7 Black is ready for prime time. I think it's a great camera, it looks great, it sounds okay, it's the future, it's the way all these other devices are interacting and everything that works the way it works. I don't want to be so outdated. I don't want to have a camera that's 4 years old being my workhorse, even though I have 1 million of them and 1 million batteries and all that stuff. But that's okay, it's fine. You need backups. There's one thing I know about this whole operation: you need backups. So I'm not sold on the Feiyu wearable gimbal 2. I don't know what the deal was, but it just didn't feel right. It didn't look quite right. There's something not hyper smooth about it. And FYI, I don't have the optical image stabilization on. I'm sure that's what you've been thinking about through this entire video. Like, wait, is the gimbal smooth? The software stabilization is off. It's not on. That's what OIS is on my my settings that I showed you earlier. So that's off. I've got, you got the mechanical gimbal. It's been good enough for the old stages. It should be good enough for the new one. So since I can't rely on this thing, it's probably a good backup. I'm gonna go check out the Karma Grip, and I will report back. But until then, thanks for watching, you guys. I'll see you on the trail.